Check that out. Get out and grow. Did you see that, everybody? The new intro.
Cool.
Cool as that.
Yeah, very cool.
Very, very good indeed. Thank you so much to Gary Austin for putting that together for us. I hope you're watching tonight, Gary, and you can see your work shared with the wonderful people who join us for the gardening and Q&A every Monday evening at 6:15 Portugal time, which of course is the same in the UK at the moment. But wherever you are in the world, if you've got any questions that are gardening related, don't ask them yet because we don't know where the gardener is. He's yet to join us, is head gardener McGrady. So while we're waiting for Lee to probably, I don't know, do you think he might be having a snooze in the salad patch after having too much lettuce? Because they say it puts you to sleep.
Who knows? Who knows? We'll have to question him, I think.
I know he's been working very hard this weekend, so it could be a bit snoozy.
Yes, but one thing I do have to say, I posted this the other day. Well, it might have been about a week ago now, actually. I can't, hang on, I'll find out in a minute. Yes. So you may remember last week we did a special on sensory gardens. So I did a poll and wondered what people would want us to do a special on next. So I'll just read it out to you if you've
excellent.
If you've not seen it, guys. Or if you're new to the show or meant to vote but forgot, because these things happen. I've thought that, I forgot to do that, and then it's gone. But yeah, so after the special on sensory gardens on Monday, would you like to see more specials, and on what subject? So I put rewilding in, which is basically, I didn't know what it was until last week, the other day. But basically, that's where what you do is you take a sort of outdoor space and hand it back to nature. So you put in loads of plants and just let it grow, and don't really do so much sort of cutting down, and don't get the grass really short, and you just let it all good bushes really grow and stuff like that. And obviously we'll give more details on what it is if we do the special on it. And the other one I came up with was similarities and difference between Portuguese and British gardens.
Oh, yes, very good.
So there's two options there. Now, you may have to scroll down a bit on the Facebook page to find my poll, because I posted it I put it up on Thursday, so it's probably got a bit buried by now. But yeah, if you want to vote in that, if you've had any thoughts for any new ideas of what you want us to do a particular special episode on, then yeah, either vote for the two that are already there, or maybe come up with your own idea. And yes, that would be okay.
Did you really say it got buried? Is that a gardening joke? Your first of the evening? Buried.
Well, no, that wasn't really that was actually well, pun intentional, I suppose you could say. But yeah, I didn't actually mean for it to mean to say that. Mean that. I just sort of as in it just got buried under all the other posts. But I didn't. The word buried was just the first thing that came to mind. It wasn't actually meant to be a joke, but I suppose
yourself works on two levels. Berries as in blackberries, and burying as in digging in the garden.
Yes.
So you mentioned your poll there. Is it a bean poll?
Well? No, it isn't. It's a voting poll that you voted. But yeah, maybe the beans do vote on certain issues in the garden on the bean poll. I suppose. I don't know.
That's what I guess. That's how you would say. How do runners? A bit tenuous, isn't it? How do legumes make decisions? They have a bean poll.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're about to joke. So very good one this morning. Sorry, it's not gardening related. It's Good Morning Portugal related, because there's a guy on this morning who was talking about his circus school, and he said to me that he made clown's shoes, which is no small feat.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. Anyway, Marcus Valbort is saying hello, everyone, and it's always a pleasure to be here, Carl. Well, it's great of you to drop in, Marcus. We've not heard much from you about your gardening, sir. So if you tell us a little bit about your gardening, that'd be awesome. And we have lost our gardener.
Please just messaged her.
I think we just had a message in, I think.
Where's he at?
From head gardener.
Oh, okay, fine. So what? I think he's scared. Do you know why I think he's scared? Because
I think I've got a rough idea now you say about it.
Yes, this no dig thing has begun. The battle of dig versus no dig. And we know that Lee is pro dig, and our lovely friend Fiona is no dig, and the battle has begun. She is sending in pictures now to rattle the head gardener with her style of gardening, no dig. So she's dug up the beds here. Look at this, isn't this beautiful? Fairly wild garden. I think she'll be interested in the rewilding feature that we're going to be possibly doing, according to John there with the polls. And here are the pictures now. And there's a long shot. There's a closer shot. You can see a lovely child, a member of the family there, I think, starting them young and I think watering what looks like hay on the top there. That's the beginning of it. No dig, just some serious mulching going on. I think there's a little bit of digging there. So maybe you just dig where you're planting. Obviously, you can't just lay the seedlings on top. So that's the big bit of digging that is allowed, rather than turning the whole lot over and rotivating it or whatever. This looks like a bean. So we're talking of beans from. Oh no, what is that? That looks possibly a cucumber there, or courgette. Looking pretty good, I think. And not intensive. This is the no dig method. Has Lee joined us? Is he worried yet? Do I look bothered? You might say when he sees this. Lee.
Good evening, all.
Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm not too bad, sir. I'm just home. I've just got home from work.
Well, good on you. It's
So,
great.
Sorry for being late.
Don't you worry. We started this evening with our new opening titles, thanks to Gary Austin. So we'll probably play out with those as well. As a way of
them.
Well, you'll see them. We'll do them on the way up tonight. We have stacks of questions tonight, Lee. So give us a shout when you're ready, and we'll get underway. Because I know Anna's got a few, and John's got a couple as well to share with you. You've obviously had a very busy day today.
I'm ready. I've just put my keys down. That's it. I mean,
hold on a minute. You can't start yet. Don't you need a beer from the fridge?
I've got the kettle on, so
okay.
It's okay.
All right. Fair play.
I've just put the kettle on. Let me brew up.
All right, a brew when you get in. Got to be done. Right, Anna. First question.
All right. Okay. I've got. I've got three. I've got one. I can say the category for this one is leaves, if that's any help. Actually, I have got a picture with this one, I think. My Aunt Alex in Wiltshire has got a myrtle plant, and but apparently the leaves are going crispy and dropping off, but they haven't turned brown. And it's currently outside in a pot, and it's in a mixture of sun and shade. Is there? Do you have any idea on what might be causing it?
Well, it's actually quite normal at the moment for it to be shedding its leaves. We've had, back in the UK, you've had some bad cold weather, so I wouldn't be too worried. I would hold off on the watering, though. Don't be overwatering it while the weather's so cold. If it's in a container. Sorry, did you say it was in a container?
Yes.
Yeah. So just hold off on the watering while the weather's so bad, because sometimes it can start to freeze the ground a little bit in the container, and it takes a long time for it to defrost. So, oh yeah, I can see the pictures. I just hold off on the watering and just ride it out and let it see how it comes on in the spring. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I really wouldn't be too worried.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what? I've heard of myrtle. I had a friend back in the old days in Sheffield called Myrtle, but I'd never looked it up. I was like, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, they're stunning. They are really pretty.
Absolutely, a thing of beauty there. Fantastic. All right, thank you, thank you, Aunt Alex, for that.
Yeah.
All right, we've got some other comments coming in. Portuguese gardens, more palms in the middle, and the rest is all the usual plants for here, says Marcos. And Boa todos. Louise here this evening. Hello, Louise. Thank you for the pictures. I'll get them on the screen. Fiona, were you in time to see me sharing the pictures of your no dig We think Lee was late just to avoid seeing the pictures of the no dig, but that's starting to heat up now, and we can probably get into the dig versus no dig debate. But thank you, Fiona, for posting those pictures up, and I will put the link to our group up in on the comments now, so that people can join us and get involved with themselves with that experiment if they wish. Shall we go to your question, John? It might be from Louise, actually.
Yeah, I'll just read that out from the Facebook, because you put it on the Facebook message. So I'll just hang on. So here it is. Hi, Carl. Great GMP show this morning. So that's Carl's other show, in case you don't know that he does. Good Morning Portugal. Bit of free advertising for you there, Carl. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Please, can you put the following question to Lee and the team? As the lawn was more moss than grass due to a couple of years of neglect, Louise decided to use some old lawn weed and feed. It did the trick on the moss, but now half the lawn is dead. Picture enclosed, which I can't actually see on the message. So I don't know, maybe it's going to be uploaded onto the screen. What solution does Lee and the team recommend? P.S. Louise has lawn envy, having seen Lee's lawn on the GMP show this morning, and asks how much water does it need during the summer month in Portugal. PT, I assume that means Portugal, to keep it green. Many thanks, Paul, on behalf of Louise.
There we go.
Right, where to start? As a bit of advice for everybody, go to your sheds, get your weed and feed, and put it in the bin.
What?
Just take your weed and feed and drop it in the bin. It's absolutely no use whatsoever. It's the biggest con I've ever come across in years. It's ridiculous. And if your professional gardener uses it, sack him, because he's ripping you off.
Good heavens!
It's detrimental to the lawn. It's not beneficial at all. The feeding of the lawn should be done four times a year maximum, unless you're developing a new lawn. So your spring, your summer, your autumn, and your winter feeds. Putting a weed and feed in spring doesn't help at all, because your weeds aren't really germinating yet. And weeds and feeds use like a suppressor to suppress the weeds from germinating. So what you're actually doing is suppressing grass from germinating as well at the same time. So you're feeding something and killing it at the same time. It makes no sense. It's a jack of all trades, a master of none.
Interesting.
It's two very separate jobs that should be done at separate times. You can buy broadleaf weed killers that you can use directly on your lawn. They're not specialists, but I don't use them personally. If I'm going to treat a lawn for weeds, I'll use a standard weed killer, and I'll just go around and selectively kill the weeds I want to get rid of. Give them 2 weeks, then I'll overseed that area. And the feeds are all fairly standard. Anything you can buy over the shelf is fairly standard. It's normally a blood, fish and bone mix. The waste from the abattoir gets all mixed up into granules, and you use that. So it's a job you should do separately, if you understand if I'm making sense. Yeah.
Wow.
So weeding and feeding are two very separate jobs and should be done at separate times. So the next part was about the lawn dying.
Yes.
Depending on what the grass is, I believe they're here in Portugal. There's a type of creeping grass that's quite popular here. And there's a disease at the moment that's knocking around. There's a bacterial and an insect that's killing off the grasses. My cup of tea's here. Thank you, sweetie.
Very good service. So
She's laughing as she goes.
right.
So yeah, depending on what type of grass it is. We'll have a tour. We'll have a tour into the garden.
Here we go. He doesn't need a second request to show off his garden, and who can blame him?
No, I'm gonna show off the bad bit now, Kel.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna show off the bad bit. Right. So when we started on this property, there was the main grass was this sort of Bermuda. Oh, I can't get it out. Trying to find one now because I've killed it all off. Here's one. Here's one I haven't killed off. So it's a broadleaf creeping grass. Can you see that on the camera? Is that coming up?
That's a hardy Portuguese style of grass, isn't it? Size of that thing.
Well, I've just dragged it out of my tree pit for one of the orange trees. It's awful stuff. And there's a bug that's knocking about, a beetle that's becoming quite popular in Portugal, and it's killing off all the lawns that are of that style of grass, which is part of the reason why I reseeded ours, because we had that and I wasn't happy putting insecticide down every year. So we looked for an alternative grass. So I've started to use a more traditional grass seed. So
very good.
That could be why their lawn is dying off. It could be a disease or a beetle infestation.
So that's great. I mean, so the question was about the weed and feed, and you've dealt with that very firmly. But there wouldn't be a cause between the weed and feed and the lawn dying off, though, would there? Or connection?
If they've applied too much weed and feed, if they've not followed the instructions, then that could kill the grass off.
Oh, okay. Right.
But you'd have to put a hell of a lot down to actually kill the grass.
Yeah.
Right. I imagine it's a different reason why the grass is dying off, and it could be an infestation or a disease.
All right. And the thing to do then is what, to start again? I mean, because this is the question. It was like, oh no, Paul has lawn shamed me. So we've had a bit of lawn shaming going on. And John had something to say about that as well, didn't you, John?
Little joke that I sometimes do for this to just try and make people laugh, as well as the gardening advice we do. So I fought the lawn and the lawn won.
Yes, it looks like it in that case. Ouch. Good advice, Lee.
But,
pointers to the salvage for the situation will be gladly received from Louise, who's tuned in tonight. Then where to go now with it?
Right. So, without actually seeing it personally, I couldn't. Oh, see, I would spray it off and start again. But I'm a bit when it comes to seeds and grasses.
Right.
Tell Louise to send me a Facebook friends request, and she can show me a little video, and I'll give her some advice once I've seen the actual.
Oh, you lovely man. That's fantastic. So there you go, Louise. And by way of reparation, and to get moved swiftly past the lawn shaming, look at these lovely photos that we were sent from Paul and Louise today. These are beautiful. Couple of pickies to share on the Q&A this evening, if time's allowed. Probably do with some photography tips from Terence and Peter. Not at all. These are perfectly adequate. Very, very nice photos. What are those called? They're a familiar fixture in many a British garden, aren't they?
I'm on my telephone. See that one.
Say that again, mate.
I'm on my telephone, so the images are tiny, so I can't really see, to be honest.
Take it from me. All looking very beautiful over there in the UK there. Thank you so much for those, Louise. Very nice. Not on Facebook. So do it. Send it through me. If we can have a lawn picture, I'll pass that on. Absolutely. Yeah. So before we go back to Anna for another, we've got loads more questions to come from Anna. But before we do, what's the gardener's favourite dance, do you think? You're supposed to say Carl. I don't know.
I don't know, Carl. What is a gardener's favourite dance?
That'll be the plot twist. Like we did last summer. Right, wallflowers full of bees this evening. That's what they were, wallflowers. Okay, Anna.
Yeah, yes, we have a question for a friend of mine, Joe, in Cornwall, and it's on curly kale. It's producing flowers. Do they need to be removed? And is the kale okay to eat? It's currently in a raised veg bed, and it's in a mixture of sun and shade.
Yeah, the kale kale is bolted. When it starts to send up the flower shoot, it gets a really quite thick, strong stem on it. It's just starting to bolt, so it's coming to the end of its time. But the leaves are still fine to eat. Yeah, so you can cut the flower off. It should last another month or two, as you can trim the leaves off it. But it's just coming to the end of its time. Yeah.
And even in Portugal, in the markets, you'll see, is it turnip tops or something like that? And they've still got they sell them with the yellow flowers on, and you can eat the flowers as well, right?
You can, and they're very nice. Yeah, yeah. It's
so.
actually, if you go to the high-end restaurants, they sprinkle them on top of your dinner for you.
Yes, there you go. So you can do it for yourself.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's a great question. Thank you, Anna. So yes, it's bolting, coming to the end of the season, marking the end of the season, but still good to eat, which I guess was which is the important bit of the question there. So you probably got another a week or two or up to a month with the curly kale. Fantastic. Any more from you, Anna?
Quite a few. Yeah, we've got one from Mansell in Plymouth. This is about temperatures and growing, really, and he's wondering what nighttime temperature will be warm enough to sow cucumber outdoors in a greenhouse. I think I did note this down right. Lately, the temperature has been minus 1.5 at night. That's all the information I have.
Minus 1.5, Cal. It's fantastic, isn't it? I
think I did note. I think I did put that right. I don't think it was 15.
I sometimes miss the cold. Not very often. I always started my cucumbers early. April should be no problem in the UK now. They should be starting in the greenhouse. You can always put a little bit of fleece over the top of them if he's really worried about the nighttime temperatures. Just some or some hessian. If you've got any strips of hessian, that works really well. But keep the trays on a shelf so they're not directly on the floor of the greenhouse. Just up on a shelf, bit of hessian over them. They'll be fine this time of year.
And if you do a really low temperature, do you get mini cucumbers?
I don't think so.
Okay, right, just checking.
You jokes are shocking.
Ludwig Dinkelstein. Ludwig Dinkelstein says Butard. But Butard to you, Ludwig. Great to have your company. Do you have a question for us? Anna does, for sure. Keep them coming, Anna.
This one is I might need your help on pronouncing the names. Is it Katia? I'm not sure. The Beyond Lisbon.
Oh yes, Katia. Yes, of course.
Katia. Yeah. I think I'm on the Get Growing group questions here. I think, but this one, I think we did actually have a picture with this one, and it looks like mildew on mint leaves. Yes. I possibly had a look at this one. I might have possibly diagnosed this one already. It's sort of like a powdery white well, I was going to say mildew. What is it? Any help is welcome. But
Anna,
I did.
Anna, I remember seeing the question, and you were dead right. Yeah,
well done, Anna.
Powdered mildew. Just pick off the mildewed leaves, or even cut them right down to the ground and let it reshoot. You can't kill mint as much as you try. Strip out all the infected leaves, get rid of them, put them in a compost bin, and let it start again. You were dead right, and I saw you answering the question a couple of days ago.
I was going to say, for any mint growers as well, do remember to put them in a pot, because mint is relentless if left to its own devices.
Yeah,
there you go. That was the picture there being spoken of with the white powder on there that Anna correctly diagnosed there's a bit of mildew on there, and there's the solution for you there, Katia, from the head gardener there too. Hold on a minute. It is I, the Road Dog, is here with us this evening, saying good evening earlier on. Rowan, have you started growing anything yet? Named after a magnificent tree, of course, yourself. So a nice connection there to the garden. How are you, Rowan? Great to hear from you this evening. Cucumbers are very sensible to the cold. They die very quickly. Okay, yes. So they're not too keen. The old cucumbers when it comes. Yeah, I guess if you look at them in their fruited state, I mean they are mainly moisture, aren't they? Is that a clue to how sensitive they might be?
Yeah. But
yep, there you go.
They are, and even the stems that the leaves go on, they are really soft, buddy. So they do get hammered by the frost. But if you think about starting the seedlings now, starting the seedlings is a perfect time. Give it 2 weeks, the frost will all be over. They'll be germinated and they'll be outside. They'll be fine.
Tremendous.
I'm from the north of England where we get the last frost every time, and I always start by mid-April. It's no problem.
Speaking from literally bitter experience there of the cold. So there we go. We should be fine. That's from Mansell, our good buddy who was with us, giving us the tour of his fantastic gardening project in Plymouth last week. That was a fantastic show. João Mendonça is here. João, how are you? Boa tarde a todos from João. Are you green-fingered at all, João? Let us know. So keep going, Anna. All yours.
We have a question from one of the viewers in Portugal here. This one is on hedges, and we have any ideas for an edible hedgerow that is compatible with quince and I think capers as well. I had to double check that just to see I had it right. And this doesn't help when I write incredibly small. I'll need to double check the rest of the question. I was trying to cram it onto the rest of the page, and I can't even read my own writing. But
I've read the question already. I read it on the Facebook group. Well, I've actually saw this question. I had a couple of days to think about it, which is unusual for us. We normally get hit in the face with them on the night. Which gardeners question time don't do this. They don't do live questions on the spot. So
fair play. Yeah. We're so much more adventurous, aren't we, than those old giffers on gardening question time.
We like a challenge. I love the idea of edible edges. It's something I've had an interest in for quite a while. And being in Portugal, it's something I should really be paying more attention to. We've got better weather here for it. Quince is perfect. Capers are perfect. Red and black currants do really well here. Also, walnuts is a great idea because they grow really, really well, and the hedge it can be laid as a hedge as well.
Oh,
there's loads of great options. Even putting the smaller fruit trees into the edge at the beginning would work very nicely. But then also think like the understory of your hedge. So if you're planting the red currants, the black currants, the nuts, you could also underplant with wild strawberries, carrots, anything that's kind of self-sufficient that you can just leave it be. So mint would go under an edge. Any of the herbs you could fit underneath there to give them protection from the heat. There's lots of great ideas for edible hedges, and it's something I'm going to make an effort to dig into. But then you could also plant in peas. I know, another pun. You could plant in peas and sweet peas and beans under the hedge, let them grow through. Oh, it's a great, there's got to be a million things you can plant under and into an edge.
It sounds like it's a smoothie bush. With all that fruit growing on it, you just go out there and you could pick off enough to whiz up a smoothie, couldn't you, each morning?
Well, I know we joked a little bit about this morning, Carl. When I was in Scotland, I used to walk up on the pub drunk on a Sunday afternoon. It shut at 3 o'clock for some reason for an hour, and I had to walk home.
Yeah.
And we had a small hedge there that ran along the side of the farm track, and I could literally pick a dinner out of the hedge as I walked down. I could pick all my greens out on maybe 200 yards of hedgeway. And if you get the planting right and the seasonal diversity there, you can get some every month of the year out of an hedge in Portugal. I'm gonna look into it properly when I've got a spare hour, and I'll do a little video for it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. Now, do not be eating hedges if you are uninitiated, because things like cow parsley, hogweed grow in hedges, don't they? So don't be eating anything out there if you don't know what it is. Make sure to double, triple check on that. Lee did that because he knows what he was doing and he was a little bit tipsy.
The great thing about developing your own hedge is that you know what everything is in it, and you know where everything is, and you know what you're planting. You can keep a close eye on everything you've put in.
Sounds like
hogweed's a bit of a nasty one, but yeah, apart from that, everything else is fine.
Alrighty, so we've got a few more comments. We grew cucumbers for the first time in Portugal last year. Surprisingly successful. That's always lovely when that happens, isn't it? When you're thinking, oh, I don't know if it's going to work, and it works really well. Fabulous. Joao, not quite yet myself, but we're taking care of the front and this is Rowan. Taking care of the front and back gardens in my block of flats. There's room to grow there, Rowan. You'd be surprised. You get a few containers growing there, or put some nice herbs in. If you've got a lawn there, you can even sow some herbs into the lawn and have a lovely fragrant lawn there. I'm getting confused as well. I thought it was food and wine. No, we have a food and wine group. Well, it's kind of the same, isn't it? I mean, we'll talk about growing grapes here and other, and Lee's been talking about edible bushes. So in a way it is, but it's not strictly speaking the food and wine group. 6:15 Mondays, the gardening Q&A. That's what you've stumbled into here. And good evening, another Facebook user to you, Carl, Lee, John and Anna. And while we're saying that, I want to let you know that this week we're hoping to get Farmer for Fun, Joseph Marsh, on the morning show. He's an amazing fellow with a beautiful farm. So all you gardeners, I think, will like that as well. Fiona says, for hedging, hawthorn, hazel and elder all grow well here in Portugal. And she's got a nice florid touch there, bit of wild rose too. So yeah, I mean, seeing some nuts and berries and a few wild flowers in there, that's going to be a beautiful thing to have in your garden. And it will attract the wildlife, I'm sure, as well. Sorry to say I no longer have a garden because I moved house to an apartment last year. Okay, we have talked about container gardening and we encourage everybody wherever they live.
Excuse.
Say that again, Lee.
That's no excuse.
There you go.
My lovely girlfriend has a nice apartment in the city, and we have tomatoes on the balcony that I put out there last week.
Come on, Joel, you can do
it. Yeah,
no excuse. He's not tolerating any nonsense this week. It's straight down on the old weed and feed, and not taking any excuses from you flat dwellers. If in a sheltered, frost-free spot, goji berries make a great hedge. Yes. Goji berries. It's almost like a muesli bush as well. It's turning into from Portugal. Botardoras from Portugal. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's from me, Rowan. Think about it, Rowan. Tune in again and get some ideas for the front and back of your flats there. We had good news today. The sapadores from the local Associação de Produtores Florestais Did you do this on purpose? E Agrícolas trimmed our land in Portugal this week, anticipating a jungle when we return in June. That's good news. Yeah, that's a government service, isn't it? And they look like an amazing squad of blokes. Have you ever fancied that, Lee, joining that crack team of what they call bushwhackers? I mean, they're really well tooled up, aren't they? They've got impressive vehicles too.
Have you seen the minimum wage payments in Portugal, Cal?
Did that put you off? Yeah.
We had a discussion when I first moved over. Obviously, the language barrier is an issue when you're in a new country. And I always expect to be well paid for what I do without sounding greedy or big-headed. But if I'm going to do a day's work, I want a good rate of pay for it.
Yeah.
So I had a look at the local councils, and there was a couple of gardeners I would have been interested in working in, but the pay rate was just shocking. And I just said no. If I'm going to work in Portugal, I'll be self-employed and I'll set my own times and my own wage. So although I do enjoy streaming, I don't want to do it every day.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Okay. So there's my answer to that. Leave that to the local fellas. Victoria Benson, hoping for some geraniums and tomatoes on my future Portuguese balcony. That's the spirit. That's exactly what Lee is talking about there. So we're into the last 10 minutes or so. Anna, I think we've got some more questions, haven't we?
Yeah, I think I've got one more that I can see written down. This one is for Gary. Yes, I'm going to write it on the next page because I had so many questions. If I haven't asked this one already, Gary was asking. He wants to grow a peach tree, but what is the best site and conditions to do so?
Oh, peach tree. Well, they're like a sunny open spot. They're quite simple peach trees. They're not really picky. We have a couple in the garden here, and they're both in bright open areas. If she's in Portugal, though, I must warn about peach leaf curl. It's a disease that seems to be all over the country, and it also happens in England to a degree, but not as bad as I've seen it here. So she needs to find a remedy for the peach leaf curl if she's going to go into peach growing. It's a fungal disease that gets into the tree and the peaches rot on the tree. I've been using a cure. It was quite expensive last year, and it's not really done the trick. But I've been told by a local lady of another product that I'll be trying this year.
Oh, that sounds.
I'll keep you informed with that.
Yeah, did you hear about it on the grapevine?
I heard about it on the grapevine, Cal.
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, going back to those really, I think it's quite a glamorous job, but poorly paid, clearly, as Lee was telling us there. But those sapadores going out there and doing the work they do, poorly paid by the sound of it, and as Paul and Louise are saying here, it's Louise, isn't it? The heat that they work in all summer, clearing roads in Portugal, and dealing with the forest fire clearance to prevent forest fires. Really hard work in the hottest of weather. So hats off to those folks. John, go on.
Remember to unmute myself before I start talking. Yeah, so obviously we were talking about container gardens for like on the flats a few moments ago. So I've just added that to my poll as something we could have a special on, like we had a special on sensory gardens last week. So yeah, obviously if you missed that earlier on, then the other two options I've come up with so far are rewilding and the differences between British and Portuguese gardens. So yeah, have a look at that if you, or vote if you haven't already. Cool. Okay. So Anna, I don't know if you have any more questions to have or
I haven't seen any that I haven't. Yeah, I haven't seen any that I've missed. I think I've covered all the ones that I've noted down. I'm checking the message board every so often as well. So I think we're up to date on the questions at the moment. But we're always happy to take in questions anytime during the week, and we're always here on Monday as well. So do tune in if you can. And yes, and I've started including the StreamYard instructions as well for anyone who is new to that as well.
Fantastic.
If you need tuning in.
Brilliant.
And,
so we're all up to date with our questions there. That's fantastic. And cheers, John. Don't forget to take part in John's bean poll in Get Out and Grow, the Happy Homesteaders. Peaches also suffer from fly strike in Portugal. What is that, Lee?
Yeah. It's very similar to the peach leaf curl. It's a fly that gets in and just destroys the fruit before it's developed. You can normally tell them they're really dark flies, and they seem to be attracted to the top of the canopy of trees. You get them on a lot of the citrus trees. I do have a photograph of the product that I'm going to be using this year, and if I can find it on my phone, I'll share it on the group. I've been advised that it's for the job, and it's friendly for the environment. So.
Very good. Good to know. Okay, John, this just in for you. Could we please see if we can do a special on food forests? I'm no permaculturalist as such, just can't think of another term for what I mean. So food forest. Yeah, I have to say it was a great pleasure to meet Robert Ada J. Hart, the bloke who wrote the book on forest gardening a long time ago. and I lived near him in Shropshire, and I had the pleasure of visiting his garden in Shropshire, God rest his soul, but an amazing influence on the gardening and cultural community, Robert Hart. So, John, are you happy to add that to the bean poll?
Yeah, obviously I could add that, or Fiona could add that herself, because it's one of those Facebook polls where you can where anyone can just add an option, so it doesn't have to be me that adds it. So whether Fiona wants to add it herself or whether I should add it, yeah.
Well, we might invite our old mucker Lyndon in for that one, because I think he knows a thing or two about food forests. That'd be pretty awesome. Also, yes, Paul and Louise it's Louise, isn't it? Sorry, it's just your name on YouTube. I always think of you as Paul and Louise together there, and Lottie, of course. At Victoria, geraniums and toms are great for a balcony, and also Portuguese feijoa, the flat green beans, the runners as well, will grow well in pots. So you'll get a good bean crop, won't you? They're happy in pots, and they'll grow beautifully on a sunny balcony. And I mean, I love eating beans straight off the vine. They're so crunchy, fresh. Really, really delicious way to eat the beans there. As well as putting up, I think it was 11 ways to deal with mosquitoes. What else did you want to leave us with this week, Lee?
Oh, can I just go to bed? I'm knackered.
Yes, you can. Which bed?
There's this week, what should people be doing? If you're going to trim your hedge this week in Portugal, spend some time looking for the bird nest first. Just check out your hedges, make sure there's no nesting birds in there. Problem I've come across the last couple of days. It's time to be turning on your compost heap with the weather change. Now it's drying off a bit. Oh, there's lots to be doing at the moment.
Spring fever.
I've had a shocking afternoon.
He's tired, bless him. He's tired, bless him. So he's gonna go and sleep with the broad beans in the blankety bed. If I remember that song correctly from primary school, Cauliflower's Fluffy. Did we all used to sing that one? I think there's one quick question to go. Oh, I hope you got your digging done. That's why he's so tired, possibly. Fiona getting a dig in there. Sorry, pardon the pun, but yes. Do you have anything to say to that, Lee, before you go off and have a snooze?
I'm ready, Fiona. Everything's ready.
Oh, okay. He's ready for you. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Wonderful set of questions there. Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you very much, John. And thank you, Lee. A well-earned beer, I think, now to go in your hand as you fall asleep, probably facing the setting sun tonight on your favourite chair in the garden.
I'll be snoozing within the hour. I'll be asleep. Yeah.
All right. Cheers, mate. Thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight. You're wonderful. And remember, get out and grow.